President Buhari signs amended budget. New Electoral Act on trial as political parties conduct National Assembly primaries. And House of Representatives candidates share experiences of their primary elections. Hello, and thank you for joining us. Political observers are beginning to get a sense of what the 10th House of Representatives will look like, and this follows conduct of National Assembly primaries by political parties. We'll be engaging some members on what went down, especially as this is the first major outing of the Electoral Act 2022. I am Victor, as welcome to you and your reps. Let's begin by telling you that President Muhammadu Buhari has assented to the revised 2022 appropriation, bringing it to 17.319 trillion naira recently approved by the National Assembly. A statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President of National Assembly, House of Representatives, Umar El Yakub, indicates that 7.1 trillion naira is for recurrent, 5.4 trillion naira is for contribution to development fund for capital expenditure, while 3.9 trillion naira is for debt service. The statement adds that 817.6 billion is for statutory transfer. Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, ABUBAKAR FULATA, has emerged candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the Birniwa, Guri, Kirikasama Federal Constituency of Jigawa State. He gives us his impression of the new Electoral Act.
Laws are generally made for the good governance of the people. In making a law, of course, there are latent effects, unintended effects of any law. The Electoral Act was not specifically enacted to favor any particular individual or group of individuals. It was deliberately crafted to create a level playing ground for everybody. The outcome certainly will not be palatable to many. It may also be palatable to some. But as I see it, the Electoral Act is still work in progress. We've made some amendments which up to now the President has not assented to. We are waiting for the expiration of the mandatory 30 days. The bill will come back to the National Assembly, and then we will look at that. If he has assented to the amendment, fine and good. If he has not been able to assent to the bill, he will still return it with reasons. It is up to the National Assembly now to look at those reasons advanced by office of Mr. President or by Mr. President himself, then see what can be done. So, as I told you, it's essentially a work in progress. The exercise now was conducted purely with elected delegates, 3, 5. We only use the ad hoc delegates that were elected. We have done our governorship election, we have done the Senate, we have done the House of Representatives Assemblies. The inability of the President to assent to the bill on time has reduced the number of delegates that ought to have participated in the various elections. The reduction in the number of delegates has essentially commercialized the process. If it is true that some people had to give substantial amount of money to be elected into various ways, and then certainly the reduction in the number of delegates has created a situation where a price tag can be placed on every, because there are few, then it could be adduced that the reduction in the number of delegates has created an avenue for corruption. But I have no facts to back that assertion. To come to the National Assembly, or to win any election for that matter, you must be a member of a political party on whose platform you contest election. So I don't know, I cannot speculate on the number that will come, but the rate of attrition is likely to be high, going by the outcome of the primary elections that is being conducted now. That has not yet been concluded, but going by the few results that have come, the rate of attrition is likely going to be very, very high. You cannot have the complete picture until after the general election in February 2023. It's only after then, after that, you can now have a summation of the number of people that are back and the number of people or members that are not yet back, that have not been able to make it back to the House. What is very important in to consider in the institution of the National Assembly is that the older you are, the more experienced you become in the process of enacting laws and even dealing with ministries, extra-ministerial departments, and international organizations. If you come to the National Assembly, Senate, or House of Representatives as a new member or as a new senator, you are a rookie. You have to learn the ropes. Before you learn the ropes, the 4 years have expired. Your tenure is gone. So most new members do not really get the opportunity to impact their constituencies very well. And because of that, the electors become impatient with you. You came for 4 years, you didn't make any impact, so they will change you. The more you change, the more you duplicate the problem. So the more you come back, the more experienced you become, the more ranking you become, the more you are able to impact your constituency, and the more you are able to impact the nation as a whole. That's the process. Even our arrangement, our seats, old, experienced, and ranking members are placed on the front row. If you are new, you are thrown back to the back bench. If two of you raise your hand to attract the attention of the speaker between a new and more experienced member doing a debate, the speaker will first of all recognize the older and more experienced member to contribute before you, the rookie, is recognized to speak. So ranking matters. My advice to electors is that the more you change your members, the more problem you have in that constituency.
We also spoke with a member of the House Committee on Land Transportation, Ogane Ego, who has emerged standard bearer of the People's Democratic Party for the Amu ward of the Federal Constituency of Lagos State.
The primaries, as affected by party, made those who are not supposed to win election win. Don't forget that ordinarily, those who have voted are the 5 principal officers in the ward, including all the SGA officers, including all the state officers if they are from that particular ward. But as it is, only 3 ad hoc for each ward won. Whereas a lot of candidates have been working on the principal officer, all those who are supposed to vote. Then suddenly the game narrowed down to very few people. And those who were lucky to have concentrated on those few people eventually won. So it's unfortunate. And the primary as they are did not fully represent the those who are on ground. But nevertheless, people have won. For instance, at the national level, we had national delegates only voting. Whereas that voting is supposed to include all the state working committee members, coming to about, 11 or 9 in every state. But now even the state chairman could not vote. Even governor could not vote. Even senator could not vote. House of Rep could not vote. So these are the challenges that we have. And we are hoping that the president should sign the bill before the next outing. Those who want to contest in 2023 will contest, and those who are good to their constituency will still win. Although in primaries like this, a lot of people are weeded out. As it happened in the 8th Assembly, over 100 rep members did not come back. This time, I hope that more of our colleagues will come back. But from the feeling I'm seeing, a lot are not going to come back. So the turnover will always be there. But nevertheless, the amendments that have been made to the Electoral Act are such that they will make elections more credible. Where elections can be transmitted at the instance of INEC electronically, where incident form, abuse is removed. So we're looking forward to a much better result. But when we have tried it after the 2023 election, then the Committee on Electoral Issues will look at it again based on complaints that we have from all over the country. We will see whether do we leave it as it is or should we do further amendments. At that stage, we'll take that decision.
Now, on a final note, where do you stand on the argument of whether it pays the legislature better to inject fresh blood, fresh ideas, than to have old people who have been there before experience over fresh ideas? Where do you stand?
Well, fresh ideas are very good. I must say that this 9th Assembly will have very capable fresh ideas. A lot of people who came in have been in the State House of Assembly for 4 tenures or for 3 tenures. And then we'll have people from the university, the academia coming in. So sometimes when you inject new blood into it, it's always very good, because we have quality representation more in this 9th Assembly than the 8th Assembly. But nevertheless, in lawmaking, experience pays a lot, because the lawmaker is better when he spends more time. Because lawmaking is an art, It's not something you just jump into, even if you are a lawyer or a professor of law. It's not something you just jump into immediately and you get to understand it. The National Assembly is very vast. For you to represent your people well, you need to come back more than 1 time or 2 times. That way, you'll be able to, you already understand what is happening here, and you'll be able to work hard for projects and dividend of democracy to come to your constituency. So either way is good. There's need for fresh blood. There's need for the old brigade to still be there, so that strikes a balance. Because the newer people coming will learn from the old one who have been there. While the old one who have been there will be in a better position to serve their constituency better.
Now, what do you understand by the phrase conference committee in legislative business? Well, we spoke with Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business to break it down.
There can never be a bill unless the 2 chambers agree. So when a bill is passed in the House, with different versions disagreeing with the Senate version, then that is the point at which a conference committee will now be set up of equal numbers, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 10, 10, depending on the listing of equal numbers. Then the two committees will now agree as to the final version. Then once the committees agree, it's binding on the two chambers to now adopt as a final report of the National Assembly on that particular subject matter.
Still on political party primaries, as dictated by the Electoral Act 2022, you and your reps went to town to get the views of the common man.
I don't buy the idea of making a consensus. I don't buy it at all. Because anything that comes with consensus, it has to do with favor. Our leaders or the party leaders will only choose those whom they are favoring, while the masses will not have a word about that. Because whatever the political party, whomever the political party appoint will be the one to be the flag bearer. So the processes are also has a lot of things that need to be rectified and then put it in order.
Yes, I believe it's a right step for a nation like Nigeria, and we're growing, and we will get it right. Even the Western world are still learning, but with time, we will get it. We believe it's going to give everybody a neutral playing field to showcase what you have.
It's been very funny. We see how on the internet, on the television and so on, how they are monetizing the election process, which is which is not a common practice. It is ridiculous. It brings the election to ridicule, because it's like they are now buying votes. There's no way you can get the right person where you are monetizing the electoral process.
Can you imagine a local government I came from Borno State? A whole local government has only 1 or 2 delegates that will represent the whole population of my local government, just to choose that they are the one to elect, or they are the one to select the presidential candidates. This is something that I really don't support it. I don't support it, because the processes are not that good, and it will be of no use to our democracy.
Under this bill shall be both in electronic and manual with the procedure.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it.
And Mr. Speaker, we all agree that these necessary changes should be effected.
Thank you. Those in favor, please say aye. Once again, please say name. Ayes have it.
As we continue to assess the outing of the new Electoral Act, let's go to a neutral. Doris Ubo was a member of the 6th House of Representatives and has emerged candidate of the All Progressives Congress for a Car Federal constituency of Delta State. We sought her views on conduct of party primaries. Let's hear her out.
About the third election or fourth that I've done so far, and this is the easiest because I had less delegates to deal with, and that is due to the recent amendment of the Electoral Act. Instead of us having so many people to, that would decide where you're going, you had less people to deal with. It was easier, it was less expensive, easier to maneuver in the sense that you don't have too many people that you had to speak to at the same time. So the process itself was made easier, in my own opinion anyway. The Electoral Act is always evolving, depending on the situation and the country at a particular time. Right now, what we have suits our situation, and but from next assembly, I'm sure Electoral Act will be tinkered with again. It's always been tinkered with to make it better, make the process easier, make it better for the electorate and the public in general. So I'm sure come next assembly, there will be one reason or the other to amend the Electoral Act. When I was in the 6th assembly, the Electoral Act was amended, or at least some portions were touched by the 7th, the 8th. So it's an ongoing process. So I'm sure come next assembly, there will be a reason to deal with it again. I personally don't see the reason why they want it put back again. If the president wishes, so be it. But I think the way it is right now is just fine with me and fine with so many people. Especially, I just went through an election, and instead of dealing with 500 delegates, I had only 130 delegates to deal with. It makes the process easier. I keep saying that, and that's the whole reason of reducing the election to delegates election. So if you're going to be labeled with so many people, it makes the process a little bit more cumbersome. I think if you have a synergy, it makes it easier for you to legislate. It makes it easier for you to let the executive know what they ought to do or what it should be. Because you guys have a synergy, it makes it easier for everybody to understand each other, as opposed to when there's rancor. Because when I was in the house, we didn't have that kind of too much opposition, because we had that synergy in our working agreement. So you see that we had done all the fighting and all the disagreement before we even come to the floor of the house. I believe definitely once there's a synergy between legislative arm of government and executive, the flow of work is better. The understanding is better. Less rancor, better output.
Interesting perspectives there. Ours is to wish all our respondents the very best as the general elections come calling. And that's been You and Your Reps. We thank you for your time. I am Victor Azu. Join us again.